And with that, it's avec grand plaisir que je fais l'introduction de l'administratrice de l'Organisation internationale de la francophonie, Mrs. Cano, and I see the house is packed for your presentation.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Ça va bien? Vous allez bien? Oui. My French is pretty good, huh? Yeah. Well, listen, I was going to go to the podium, but I think now I'll stick here. That'll be much more fun, I think. And I know I'm not Kim Kardashian, but I'm pretty cool too. First of all, let me thank our host, the minister, for this gathering of the world experts on technology and digital. I think it's extraordinarily important. I'm amazed by all the work and the the political will of all the countries to really get engaged in digital and how important it is for all of society. So let me talk to you about l'Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie. So this the Francophonie. It's the gathering of 88 states in the world, believe it or not, who have French as either main language or part of their language. And Armenia is a member, and Bulgaria as well, of the Francophonie. Armenia have been for a decade, over a decade actually, and they hosted the last summit of the head of states. So what we do is 4 things. We actually are making sure that the French speaking stays strong, that the French cultures across the world on 5 continents stay strong. We also focus on democracy, helping countries that are getting out of conflicts and helping them with their elections. We also, so we're really working on freedom of expression and human rights. We also are very strong on education and training. And lastly, we are all in favor and having programs on sustainability, which is a hard word to say in English, but développement durable, we say in French. So our role is to make sure that we, as an organization, we listen to what the needs are in our countries and make sure that all those Francophonie help each other. Share expertise, support each other, collaborate, because we believe that it's very important that in face of all the very big power out there, and mostly in the digital space, there is a place for other digital ecosystem. And so the French one for us is very important. The Francophonie one is very important. So what we do is obviously with the evolution of digital and technology, making sure we're at the top of it, or at the very least not behind, is not an option for our countries, and it's not an option for any of us. I think we all share the same things. So there's a couple of things we do at the organization at that level. Is one, support the states and the government's part of our organization to deal and understand the issues of governance, for instance, of sovereignty, the issues of personal data protection. That's extraordinarily important. The other thing is that we think is important is to help public policy, create public policy that will contribute to the or encourage this transformation to digital. And one of the biggest issues is access. Many of you have mentioned that, and access of technology, of internet, and the high speed. The reason it's so important is that there is a potential of creating a deeper divide between populations that have information or have access to information and those who don't. And unfortunately, technology can also widen that gap if we're not careful. So we really believe it's important to understand the environment we're in and be ready for it. The second thing we do is obviously technology is unbelievable. When I grew up north part of Canada, there was no English, it was only French. I had to drive 8 hours by bus to be able to actually hear English. Now with technology, that's not an issue, right? We can reach out people all across the world. We can connect with them. We can actually be more meaningful in terms of like the impact on the development of our countries socially and economically. So we've been really advocate of educating as early as possible, making sure that we leverage technologies because we learn differently, we work differently, we connect differently. There are new jobs out there. I mean, you've seen a lot of data just this morning. So the reality is quite different. And so we absolutely have to make sure that our countries are offering to their populations the keys to be able to succeed and to be part of this revolution and this evolution, in fact. So we're really involved in education. We are opening digital centers across the world, like mostly in Africa. I just did one in Chad not that long ago. The second thing is job. Is helping young people, and we are focusing mostly on young people. And let me tell you something, 60% of our population, our Francophone population, is under the age of 34. So that's amazing. And we are 300 million people speaking the language of French. And do you know that by 2060, so in 40 years from now, this number will have doubled. So that's why we're focusing on youth and on women, because first of all, half of them don't have access to schools yet in most of some of the countries of la francophonie, and also because their apport, I don't know what the English word is, but their contribution to the economy is undisputable. So we are now creating programs and projects to help the insertion to jobs, to the new jobs that brings technology, and to entrepreneurship. And you can see labs and incubators all across Africa and here in Armenia and Eastern Europe, in Europe, and across the world basically. But places you wouldn't have expected. I mean, I'm hearing about Bangladesh and Malaysia, all the work that's been done. It's happening everywhere. So I think our populations are ready for the challenge. I do think that the key to success for all of us, that belong to Francophonie or not, is the cooperation, is the partnerships. We can't do anything alone by ourselves. We need to be all together in this and to make sure that we're actually looking up for tomorrow. So thank you. This is as brief as I can be and as appealing as it can be.
Thank you, Madame Cano. I think that's a great way to end the panel. I'd ask all of you to welcome and along with me, I congratulate all the panelists of this panel. One of the overriding themes, I think, has been youth, women, and looking towards the future. I'm sure our next speaker will hit on these same themes as well. And with that, please let me close the panel and thank all of our participants.